What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and in this video I wanted to talk to you guys about 2015. Apple's got a lot going for it this year, besides just the yearly refresh to the iPhone, and that alone I'm really excited about. But there's a lot that Apple's going to be doing this year that's not related with the iPhone, software-wise and new products. So in this video I wanted to cover everything that Apple has planned for it in 2015 and give you guys an idea of where the company's headed. Alright, so first off, the next generation iPhone. Now this is a product that is a given. Every single year Apple does release it, but what it's going to be called, we don't know for sure yet, but we can safely assume it'll be called the iPhone 6S based on the iPhone 3GS, 4S, 5S, and now the 6S. Why would they skip a S generation? So with every new design, Apple usually sticks with it for 2 years before refreshing it entirely. So it's entirely possible it will be called the iPhone 6S and iPhone 6S Plus. Now with these devices, where Apple's headed is probably just a refresh of the internals. We're not likely to see anything different on the outside. It's still going to be the very same design, the aluminum going all around. They might reinforce it on the inside to make people feel a little bit better. You know, the whole Bendgate issue, it's overblown and out of proportion, but people are still going to be a little bit cautious going forward with the new iPhone. So Apple's going to want to fix the internals a little bit, make it a little bit sturdier. And besides that, they're just going to add a whole bunch of more power to it. So the A9 chip, you know, every single generation, we go up. From the A4, we're all the way at the A8 right now. And then we're going to go to the A9 for the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. Now this is going to be a faster and smaller chip at 14 nanometers. The current one is 20 nanometers in the iPhone 6, so it's going to shrink. Now what that does is it means it's going to be more efficient. It's going to eat less power, save more battery life. It's where all processors are heading. They're getting smaller and they're getting more power efficient. So besides the processor, we might see an increase to 2 gigabytes of RAM. We've been stuck on 1 gigabyte since the iPhone 5S. It makes sense that Apple will move forward to 2 gigabytes of RAM because all of the competitors, the Android ones, that are already at 2 gigabytes of RAM and they're moving up to 3 next year. So it will make sense that Apple does update that as well. And I actually want to ask you guys one thing. What do you want to see in the iPhone 6S? Please comment down below because I'm actually going to make a video where I'm going to compile all of your guys' answers and say what we want out of the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. So let me know guys, what do you want to see in the next generation iPhone? Leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to include it in the next video. Now besides the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus, you know, the iPhone 5C is going to need a replacement. Now this is where things get a little bit tricky. We don't really know where Apple's headed because the iPhone 5C was regarded as a failure. You know, it just didn't meet the sales that Apple expected it to meet. However, it was a very good selling phone. Just a lot of people, if they're going to be spending that much money, why not spend an extra $100 and get the more premium device, which was the iPhone 5S. Now where Apple could be headed with a cheaper phone is probably the iPhone 6S mini. This is going to replace the iPhone 5C and it'll have most of the internals of the 6S and 6S Plus. It'll just be a little bit weaker. It could possibly have the A8X chip. Now, I'm not saying this for sure. There could be a 6SC model. It's just unknown at the moment what Apple will do with the iPhone 5C replacement. Now, there will for sure be an iPhone 6C mini. You know, the iPhone 5S does need a replacement. Not everybody needs a larger phone, and it'll feature mostly the same internals as the larger 6S and 6S Plus. It'll just be smaller, just like the 5S. It'll just have a smaller design. Next is the iPad Pro. Now, it's not known whether this will actually reach production, but the rumors have been really ramping up for this one. And it's not new. I mean, rumors for the iPad Pro have been around for a couple years already. It's basically a larger iPad. It's going to be between 12.2 to 12.7 inches. So Apple's going to try and sell it as more of a professional tablet with a larger display, maybe more for educational or businesses, stuff like that. But there will most likely be a larger tablet towards the end of 2015. And of course, it might release with the new iPad Air 3rd generation and iPad mini 4th generation. Now, Apple's of course going to refresh the internals. I don't know about design for these. The iPad Air 2 is already incredibly thin. I don't see where Apple could possibly go with that. But of course, the new iPads will be refreshed inside and will be released alongside a larger iPad Pro with a 12-inch display. Now, these new iPads could have a new A9X chip, which will be just a step above the A9 released in the new iPhones, you know, to keep it more powerful and attractive to buyers. And of course, it could feature 2 gigabytes of RAM, possibly 3 in the iPad Pro, to cater to more professional use. And of course, what's going to power these new devices? iOS 9. At the moment, we really don't know much about iOS 9, but if there's one thing I could ask Apple, it would be not to rush it. I mean, with iOS 8, we were given some new features and all that, but man, even to this day, I'm experiencing so many bugs. It was like they would rather release an OS with more features rather than refine it and make it usable. So if I were to give one request to Apple, just refine iOS 9, make it more usable before actually releasing it, because it's going to power the latest devices. People are going to want to use these devices and be impressed by them, how fast they are, how non-glitchy they are. It just, makes sense to release an OS that's well optimized. Now, iOS 9, of course, is going to have some crazy new features in it that'll make us all want to upgrade, but at the moment, we just don't know much. Again, I want to ask you guys, what do you want to see in iOS 9 and the iPhone 6s? Comment down below, let me know, and I'm going to be including that in a new video I'll be posting. Now, even before iOS 9, we're going to see several new additions to iOS 8, namely iOS 8.2 and then iOS 8.3. Now, Apple has already confirmed it is working in advance on these firmwares, and iOS 8.2 is already on the 3rd beta at the moment of making this video, so we're going to see a release within 2 months for sure. Of course, iOS 8.2 is primarily to prepare all devices to support the Apple Watch. With iOS 8.2 betas, Apple released the SDK for the Apple Watch to developers to create applications. When we update to iOS 8.2, our devices will be able to support the Apple Watch, which will also be dropping soon, and I'll get to that in a sec. But iOS 8.2 doesn't seem to yield any new features for now. I haven't seen anything new in it, neither has anyone else. It's just support for the new Apple Watch. And iOS 8.3, we don't know anything about that yet, but it is coming. Now, of course, iOS 8.2 is going to prepare our devices for the Apple Watch. Now, the Apple Watch is going to be Apple's first product that they're releasing in 5 years. It's been 5 years since the iPad. That's crazy. And Apple really hasn't released anything new and revolutionary. Now, with the Apple Watch, it's really nothing new, but Apple's going to have their own spin on it. And I'm so excited to see how it is actually using the thing. It's nothing secret anymore. Apple did fully reveal the thing. Now, we don't know what's powering it exactly, but it does have a 312 by 390 resolution, which is pretty impressive for such a small device. And the smaller one has a 272 by 340 resolution display. Now, these new Apple Watches, I'm sure they're going to be powerful. The only thing is the battery life. Apple said 1 day battery life is their goal, which kind of sucks really, because you're going to have to take it off and recharge it every single night. But wireless charging is going to make it a lot less painful. Apple did say an early 2015 release date, so we're guessing it's going to be in the first quarter of 2015 that we will see the release of the Apple Watch, and I'll be covering all of that. I'm so excited for it. And the next product that Apple will be releasing in 2015 is the 12-inch MacBook Retina. This has been a long anticipated device. It's going to be a blend between the current MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. It's going to feature Intel Core M processors for very good efficiency and power efficiency as well. So it's going to be a device that'll be impressive in size. It's going to be very thin and power. So it'll be able to do everything that the current ones can, but it'll have better battery life and better performance, as well as a small form factor and a Retina display. So that's amazing. I'm really looking forward to this because my Mac Pro is just a little too heavy to carry around and my MacBook Air is not powerful enough. Well, I think it's going to be a perfect blend between the two. And it's going to come in 3 colors: silver, gold, and space gray. So that's going to be super cool. It'll be a throwback to the old MacBook days when they had white ones and black ones. I think that'll be really exciting. Supposedly, there's going to be no fans in it for a super quiet design, a revamped trackpad, and reversible USB connectors. That sounds too good to be true to find in a laptop nowadays, but one can hope. Now we might see a refresh of the Mac Pro version 2.0, which will have the new Skylake processors from Intel, which will ship later in 2015. I mean, this one is from 2013, and Apple hasn't really done anything to it. It's possible it will have DDR4 support as well for incredible fast processing, and of course, it is overpriced. You can build a Windows equivalent for much cheaper, but it does have the refinement of Mac OS, so it's a device that not everybody's going to afford. It's more for the professional market, but I'm actually really looking forward to it. I absolutely love the Mac Pro design, and I'm excited to see where Apple could take it. Now, with the new Mac Pro, Apple's going to want to release their own 5K display, and it's very possible we could see the Cinema 5K display this year. The iMac was released, But the reason they didn't release the display was because Thunderbolt just doesn't have the capability to push those kind of pixels. Well, with a new 5K display, they could update it to Thunderbolt 1.3, and it will have the power to support a 5K display. Now, the new OS that's going to power the Mac Pro 2.0 and the Retina MacBook 12-inch is going to be OS X 10.11. I don't know anything about it. Nobody really does. It's just going to have, of course, new features, and it's going to further blend iOS and OS X. So we're going to see even more blurred lines between the two, which for some is good. I think it's an attempt to appeal to more users that the OS is actually simple. You can just sit down and learn how to use it within a couple hours, and that's great. So OS X 10.11, of course, will be compatible with all devices, not just the newer ones, but that is in the pipeline as well. And it's been a while since Apple has updated the Apple TV. I mean, 3 years or so now. So what people are looking for is going to be 4K streaming. The new standard is 4K. All TVs are headed towards it. So the Apple TV 4 could feature 4K support and an aluminum enclosure. There's not much Apple can innovate here, but more streaming services would be nice, But the Apple TV 4 will most likely happen in 2015. It's been 3 years, so it's about time. Now guys, that just about wraps it up. That is all the new products, all the new software that Apple has planned for 2015. And of course, there's still the potential that Apple could surprise us with a whole bunch of new things, and I'm always expecting that. But so far, this is what we anticipate for 2015, and it looks like it's going to be quite an amazing year. Really exciting, all these new products. Of course, I will be covering all of them and all that, but guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for 2015 and all the awesome things to come. Peace.